Welcome back to the Try to Understand podcast. I'm Dan. And my guest today is Mr. Adam Lawley, also known as The Link, The Yell Walls, um,
Keep going, keep going.
other aliases. The,
Uh,
the Leg is Viral.
that's right. That's the one. What's up, Daniel?
Good. Um, Great. So I've been looking forward to doing this podcast. We are finally getting into it, talking about chess, and we're gonna try to figure out what makes chess tick, what it is, and all that. So, Lolly, what is your relationship with the game of chess like?
I love chess. Chess is a great game. It's a game that is easy to get into. I think that's a good way to put it. Is like it's like basketball or it's like a lot
Uh
of other
huh.
sports where it's really easy to learn and it's easy to jump right into it, but the ceiling is so high
Extremely
and like
high.
yeah, the mastery of it can take years if not a lifetime. So it's cool, it's cool in that way. I like games like that.
So you consider it a sport or just a game? What's the difference?
Just a game. I've had this conversation before actually. Like I think a sport has to have like some type of physical exertion.
Yeah, I mean, chess is in the Olympics though. So by that
Yeah.
criterion, what?
No, I just said it right.
But yeah, I kind of agree. Sports seem like they should be
Yeah,
a more physical thing, whereas other things are games.
yeah, I mean like it's all kind of just like semantics, right? But like
Right.
yeah, I mean I wouldn't say like you have to like do curls to
Well,
castle quicker or anything.
did you
But
know Bobby Fischer used to do physical training to help with his chess game?
oh really?
Yeah, so this is one of the few like little chess hit. One of the chess players I do kind of know about is Bobby Fischer because he's just such a
Yeah.
interesting human being.
Probably
Um,
the
so
most probably the most famous American player ever.
Yeah, so for anyone listening who doesn't know, Bobby Fischer is considered by many to be the greatest chess player of all time. It's not unanimous, but many people would say he's the best ever. He
He's
played,
definitely up there.
was it the 60s that he was most active?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
But he got it. Actually, let me just bring him up on Wikipedia. I'm not going to pretend to like know stuff that I don't. So, Bobby Fischer, I first came across him in a game or a movie called uh, Searching for Bobby Fischer, which is on Netflix right now about like
Yeah,
a
I should watch that.
so
He
yeah.
really popularized chess in America, I think, and he also was particularly popular at the time, I believe, because we were in the Cold War or we had a
Mhm.
rivalry with Russia,
Yeah,
and that kind of like played into that, I think.
exactly. So he like the Russians have always been like a powerhouse at chess. It's like the
Yeah,
Russian national game. But so Bobby Fischer, according to Wikipedia, was a chess prodigy at age 13. He won the game of the century at age 13, which was played against like I guess probably the best player in the world at the time, Donald Byrne. And then at age 14, he became the youngest ever US chess champion. And at 15, became the youngest grandmaster up to that time. At age 20, he won the US championship with the only perfect score in the history of the tournament. So he was really good. And like you said, he played against a lot of Russians. And that was like right in the 70s during the Cold War.
hmm,
But then he became like really weird later in life. He became
yeah,
elusive and erratic. He like would move around the world and became a conspiracy theorist,
yeah,
famously like blaming the Jews for a lot of the world's problems, even though he himself was Jewish, which he
yeah,
refused to admit. He didn't admit that he was Jewish. Um,
yeah.
but my point in the beginning, Bobby Fischer, I saw an interview where he would like back in the 60s, he said he would do like physical exercise, like swimming a mile a day or so to like try to keep his brain sharp. Um, build endurance and like all the mental benefits of exercise. He said would help him because playing a game of chess is like at that level is like taking a difficult exam. It's like a mental endurance game.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, I mean, everyone knows that, exercise benefits the brain and mind, but yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. Just like general health. It's funny, like kind of a counterpoint to that. And like kind of an interesting thing about chess too is like it's international, it's global
mm,
scale, like it's a
true.
worldwide game. And there was a player, I don't know if you ever heard of him, called McCall Tall,
Mm-mm.
and he was a very like he's a real like gremlin looking guy, and he was particularly famous because he was like extremely unhealthy,
Yeah.
and he like chain smoked cigarettes all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
just like he died at like a pretty young age, but he was extremely good. Like he was
Mm-hmm.
like, I believe, up towards like the world champion level.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's
Huh.
it's it's pretty cool to kind of see the different personalities and kind of like all the different nationalities and like that represent chess.
This is a bit of a tangent, but I'll make it quick. That reminds me of today. I saw something with the professional boxer Butterbean. Do you know who that guy was? You ever hear of him?
Oh yeah.
He's like, yeah, this like overweight, like people described him as like looked like a thumb with arms, like 300-pound short stubby boxer that would just like beat the shit out of people.
Yeah.
And like Jackass had a bit where like Johnny
Oh
Knoxville
yeah.
fought him in a store, and Butterbean just like literally fucked him up in the store.
So funny.
But I came across it because the WWF back in the 90s did an event where they literally just had the boxers, like the wrestlers, like box each other on TV for real. So the gimmick was like, let's have them fight for real and see what happens. And so like they did it, and then this dude won it, who was like kind of a nobody in the WWF. Like they didn't know what to do with him after. They're like, this guy has like no charisma or like character. So they're like, let's have him fight Butterbean at WrestleMania.
Hmm.
So they literally just like had this dude fight Butterbean, who just like kicked his ass and like threw
Wow.
punches. Anyway, let's talk about
American television, baby.
why I asked you to do this podcast, right? So I know you're a chess player. What's your relationship with chess? What's your ranking? How long have you been playing? Stuff like that.
Right now, I first really got into it right when the pandemic hit. Like it was like right before, so that was good timing. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
so happened to kind of like start jumping on chess.com.
So like
And
a little over a year ago, you'd say.
yeah, just about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I had flirted with it a little bit. Like I used to play with my friend up in New Hampshire a lot and like
Yeah.
play with other people, but never like played online and like played like competitively online.
Right.
So I joined that about a year ago, and my rapid rating, which is basically the time setting from 10-minute and up. So it's kind of broad. Like it could
10,
be
10 minutes until what?
10 minutes on each side. So 10-minute, like each side has 10 minutes. So when you make a move, your clock stops and then the clock
Right.
starts for the
But like
opponent.
what's the high cap for rapid? So the shortest time is 10, and what's the highest?
Oh, yeah. 10 is the lowest. I actually don't, I think it's like 30 or an hour, like
Let
something
me
like
see.
that.
I've got chess.com open right now, so I can actually.
And chess.com, it's usually not too variable, but like chess.com may have different definitions of rapid versus like FIDE or like
Mm-hmm.
the US Federation for Rapid or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there's just chess.com is just one site, and then there's like the official international league of chess and whatnot, which
Mm-hmm.
is FIDE, FIDE.
Interesting. So chess.com, do you know, is it the most popular chess website in the world?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure chess.com's number one. Lee Chess is number two, I think. And then
Yeah.
there's chess24.com, which I believe is like it's run by, I think it's owned and run by Jan Gustafsson,
Right.
who is a grandmaster, and he's like super tight with Magnus, and like he's
Carlson.
yeah, Carlson's like played a lot on Chess
Uh,
24. That used to be like the only way, like you could chant, like when Carlson played and streamed or like did videos. he would play on Chess 24, but I think he's all over the place now.
Yeah, I know he has an account on chess.com. He's like one of the top ranked blitz players. I don't know about Rapid though.
Yeah.
So chess.com, I would recommend it to most people. I just have a free account and I play as much chess as I want. There's like no limit. I can play 10-minute leg time. I can play 3-minute blitz or 5-minute blitz. Pretty much any type of chess. You and I have been playing recently the 24-hour games, which are kind of cool
Mm,
because then you really pretty much have as much time as you want to make a move.
yeah.
Although in reality, I often end like toward the end of games end up kind of rushing the moves, but
Yeah, yeah, daily is great. Um, yeah, it's a great way to get better too.
for sure.
Um, not to go too off topic, but yeah. Um, yeah, chess.com is it's great. Like I actually funny you should say that about the like the premium membership. Like you can be a member or
Yeah,
you could just have an account for free
right.
and still play everyone and everything. But if you have a premium account, you get to analyze your games with an engine and it'll
Uh-huh.
give you a report and tell you like you can go move by move and then you can like
I can do that too though for free.
you get a limit, I think. Like you
Yeah.
only get to I think you only get like one or two games like a day or something like that.
Mhm.
Um but that's really it. Like you can have a free account and still
Yeah.
play as much as you want. Like you don't have like the puzzles feature like
Mhm.
not as much or whatever.
Yeah, the puzzles there's a limit. There's a limit on
Yeah.
puzzles and then also like tutorials and computer. So like I can only play like the worst computer, which is like
Um,
not fun. So you
mhm.
probably get more bots to play against.
Yeah.
But
I almost never play against bots. I
I
always do.
used to. So when I first got into chess, like probably 2.5 years ago now, when my friend Jesus like got into it.
Shout out
And
Zeus.
so yeah, him and I would play at his house a lot. And we would like play a couple of times a week, a couple games, I guess, which I thought was a lot at the time. And then this is when you and I played at your apartment. And I felt like I was pretty good. And like we played a couple games. And at that time, I was better than you, but then you definitely eclipsed me.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
I start playing a lot.
so
Yeah.
I would like play on my phone on a chess app against the computer and just like get my ass handed to me all the time. And then that's when I downloaded chess.com and started playing like people online, which is cool.
hmm it is cool. Yeah, and just the play, it's so fast. I mean, like I press a button and no
Yeah,
matter what time setting, I'm playing someone within 5 seconds,
yeah,
and they could be all over the world. Cool thing
yeah.
too is there's like a stamp passport book on your
Uh-huh.
profile, and you can see all the countries or all the people from countries that you've played. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I play a lot of people from India.
Yeah.
I find like some people from China, a lot of people from Latin America, not as many people from like East Asia or Africa, to my knowledge, but I might just not recognize the flags as much.
Yeah. I've played some random country
Yeah.
like Mauritius or
Huh.
something like that, or like Ivory Coast or like
Hmm.
just all over, just like all over. Vatican City, that was a cool
Oh
one.
my God, the Pope,
Yeah, I
Pope
played the
Francis.
Pope, dude.
Had to be him.
It's only like 500 people there. It's got to be the Pope.
So I'm interested in like how the ratings work on chess.com, right? So I think as somebody who hasn't played chess, it's curious that there's this whole rating system where you can actually like see how good you are with a number. So I'm just on chess.com looking at my stats for rapid, which is what I played the most of by far. Like I played, it'll tell me here, I played 354 rapid chess games. My winning percentage is 44%, and my rating right now is 784, which is pretty low. It's usually above 800, but my rank, the funny thing to me, which is I've been playing chess like quite a bit for a couple of years, is like 3,334,166
It's crazy.
on chess.com. So that's not even, oh, I think that's not taking into account like other chess websites.
No, it's it's actually just chess.com and just that time setting. So just rapid.
Yeah, and also it's just it says active players in the last 90 days. So it's not even like of all time.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was
So yeah,
yeah.
this is why I often say to you, like, I hate chess because I like playing it, but I find it so humbling that like there's so many people better than me. And
Yeah.
I honestly find chess is one of the things that I feel like I put the most time into and just like not seeing the improvement that I expected.
Mm.
But you've often mentioned that like you have to kind of like practice and do lessons and stuff, like particularly to get better, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it helped me a lot to learn a few openings. Like you
Mm-hmm.
really like have to sit down and kind of like learn. And for me, a ton is watching chess content on YouTube and Twitch. Like I follow a few personalities, and that actually has like popularized the game a lot. But there's a few people that I follow, and like they put out regular content, and like I tend to follow more educational type play like that really kind of explain what they're doing, why they're doing it, and kind of like stuff like that. It's helped me a lot. Like that's definitely given me the most like, oh wow, like I never, because you see like what a winning formula looks like, and
Mm-hmm.
that helps a lot.
Right. So what's your rating currently, and what's the rank? What does that translate to?
I can check my rapid right now. It's like a little under 1200. Let me see. So that's my rapid. That's my best rating or my best
Do
time
you
set.
know how it works? Is there like a top? Is there a cap on how high you can be rated? Isn't it like
I don't
3,000 or something like that?
I don't think so. I used to watch Hikaru Nakamura, who's a great American player, probably one of the most popular, and
Right.
he was at like he in Blitz he was at like 3500 at one point, and like
So
it just
yeah,
seemed like he like kept going. Like it didn't seem like there was a limit.
because I know for me, like on chess.com at least, when I play somebody, it's like based on usually it matches you with somebody like very close to you in rating, right? And
Yeah.
then, but it's always like if they're rated higher than me, then I have more to lose than to gain. But if I'm rated higher than them, I have more to gain than to lose. Sorry, it's the reverse. So like if I'm playing somebody higher than me, I can gain like 15 points if I win, but only lose like 7 if I lose, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like scaled to what what the rating is relative to you.
Right.
Um, yeah, pretty much every time I play, it's within people are within like 50 points of me.
So
Um,
what's your rating and your percentile and your rank in the world right now?
right now, my rapid rating is 1184. Won a few games today, so I pumped that up. And then my percentile is 82.5 in rapid, and my
Okay.
global is just outside a million. It's like 1,400,000,
Wow.
something like
So
that.
that's interesting.
Or no, 1,040,000. Sorry.
So you're like 40 points ahead of me, but that translates to like 40 like no, 400 points ahead, but that's like 40 percentile points.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. What percentile does it say for your rapid?
44.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
just below the top half.
Hmm.
There's do you know where the leaderboards are? I'm looking for here chess rankings. I think I found it.
Yeah, I have the global right in front of me.
So right now, Magnus Carlsen is rated number 1 for classical at 284.7 or 280 2,847.
Oh, I don't see that. Oh, are you talking about not chess.com?
I guess not. This is a separate tab for chess ratings. And
Oh, okay.
his
Yeah.
rapid is 2,881 and his blitz is 2,886. So that, for those who don't know, Magnus Carlsen is from what, Finland, I think, or Norway, looks like by the flag. And
Yes.
he's considered by many to be the best in the world, and by some to be the best ever, right?
Some, yeah, it's up for debate. He
Mm-hmm.
also just retired and he's like 33.
Is
Like
that
he's
real? That just seems like such bullshit. Why would he retire now?
I don't know. I think he's been playing. I mean, he has been playing since he was like 6. So like, I guess it kind of makes sense, but also like that's pretty uncommon. I guess it's real. Like it seems like he's at least taking a break from like competitive play.
That just seems crazy. I mean, like that's your livelihood, right? He's a professional chess player. Does he? What's he
I
gonna
know,
do?
yeah. I imagine at this point, like he was number one for so long. He's probably so paid and so sponsored that like it doesn't even matter
Really
anymore.
though, for chess, you think that he's like set for life from being a chess champ?
I mean, from being number one, probably.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, he can probably ride the sponsorships for a while, but I don't know, dude. It's chess at the end of the day.
yeah. I mean, the events are global. Like FIDE is pretty big time. Like there are a
That's
lot of players.
one thing I love about chess is it's so, you need it's so cheap. Like the
True,
money is really no barrier to getting into it. Anybody
true.
can play a chess set, and I love to see chess boards set up in public parks. See like,
Yeah.
ah, yes, a thinking man's game.
That reminds me of a funny story. I don't know his full name. It's like John Richards or something like that. Kramer from
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
He told a story once in an interview with Jerry Seinfeld that he plays chess, I guess, and he was in some country and he played a guy that was like on the street or something that was like
Hmm.
home like looked homeless and like did was like very like derelict or like rugged.
Yeah.
And he said like the homeless man like challenged him and was like, I'll beat you no matter what. Like I will beat you. And like I guess he played him and he was like stunned by how good he was and like how like
Yeah.
he beat him like he had never lost so badly and then he played him again and lost again. And
Wow.
like I think that was in his comedians in cars getting coffee episode. So that was
Okay.
but yeah,
It
pretty
like
interesting
it
stuff.
made an impact on him. He talked about it on TV. Wow.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me. Yeah, chess is like a lot of times there's kind of a stereotype of who's good at chess, like a nerdy like detective kind. I remember this episode of Monk about like the OCD detective where like he has kind of a rival, kind of like a Sherlock Holmes, Marley kind of thing, and he like plays him in chess, and that's like a symbol of like their battle of wits. I feel like that comes up in a lot of these like detective-y kind of things where it's like two great minds
yeah,
play chess because that's like the stand-in for being a genius. And I feel like, yeah, it's just like it's not necessarily like that. Like being good at school or whatever does not easily necessarily translate to being good at chess. It's like its own thing.
right. Yeah, totally. And I've thought about this a lot. Like, what are the skills
Mm.
that make someone good at chess? And I mean, to me, it's like working memory. Like you're
Hmm.
constantly holding a lot of pieces of information at once,
Hmm.
and um, it's deduction and sort of like, and
Right.
also like how quickly you can process and calculate. I think that's a
Yeah.
big part of
People
it.
have said pattern recognition. So there's a TED talk by a grandmaster.
I could see that.
Have you seen this?
I haven't actually. I don't think so.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. He's grandmaster. He has a TED talk, and he gives like some puzzles to the audience to think about, and they're kind of like those lateral thinking puzzles where they're kind of designed to trip you up. And he
Uh-huh.
compares that to chess. It's
Mhm.
also very spatial though. It's so like spatial reasoning and like no verbal.
Yeah, true.
I feel like that's very different. Whereas like school is tons of like verbal, whether it's any class, even math, you're manipulating like symbols. Whereas in chess, you're just thinking in terms of space. So I
True.
feel like that's, yeah,
It's totally a game of position. I mean, that's really the whole thing.
right. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into a game, and I would like to. I mean, actually, I didn't think we would talk this long. I felt like we would kind of this would be a short part, and then we like analyze a game. But before we analyze the game, I first want to say, have you watched The Queen's Gambit on Netflix?
I haven't, dude. I
Um,
haven't, and like I know I'd love it.
I
I
feel
don't
like,
watch a lot of television, but
yeah,
I think I would like it a lot. And I've heard amazing things. Like I've heard it's very good.
yeah, it's responsible for a huge bump in chess interest. I'm sure half the people listening to this podcast are probably here from watching The Queen's Gambit. But I think
Possibly, yeah.
it was pretty cool. I gotta say, at first I thought it was unrealistic because she's such a prodigy with like no training at the beginning. But then as the show goes on, you see how she has to really work at it, like as she's at the top level,
Hmm.
to become the best in the world. And that's really what it comes down to. Like anything, you gotta work at it. But it is a pretty good series. It's only like 8 episodes of an hour each. I'd recommend.
Totally. I definitely will check out one day. And I've heard from a lot of people in the chess community and scene and whatnot that
Yeah.
it's very like it's very true to the game and like very
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah, I would say, except for like the first, like I said, the first part where she's like such a prodigy. But other than that, before we like start analyzing one of our games, is there a kind of closing comment or anything that you'd like to touch on about chess?
Um yeah, I think it's like cool, like yeah, definitely what you said before about like how like chess has a stereotype attached to it that it's like a nerdy thing. And I mean like I guess it's definitely like a nerdy thing, but um it's I don't know, like I couldn't equate like I don't know about the correlation between like raw IQ and like
Mm,
skill at chess. Like I don't know. Like it seems kind of tenuous. So
yeah,
I don't know.
it's definitely not of a strict correlation. I'm sure, like many things, having a high IQ like predisposes you to do well. I think even
Hmm.
in other sports, though, like in basketball, I've been watching a lot of like NBA videos and like interviews with like NBA greats lately, and I've noticed a lot of the greats are like very well spoken and like thoughtful players, and I'm like, these guys probably, being strategic and smart probably helped them as players because it's a lot of decision making. It's not just like robotic stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially when you're at the peak, you're at the apex level of anything. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll find like it'll be very intelligent people.
Yeah,
You know. But
but
yeah, I mean, totally. Like, there's a lot of basketball players that are very like articulate and they're very studied. Like some have
yeah,
master's degrees.
yeah. But psychometrics, it's all about finding correlations and trying to quantize the mind, which resists quantification.
Well said.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to analyze one of our games. So
Yeah,
what
let's check it
I'm
out.
gonna do is do a screen share. So here we go. I have chess.com on screen share. So hopefully this works where I'm sharing my screen. So I have us in the corner here. And I probably should have tested this before recording. That's okay.
I do see
Um,
your screen.
yeah, you see my screen, and hopefully anybody watching this sees my screen, and obviously people listening won't. Sucks to suck, but I can look at like my record of games and pick one that you and I played. Do you want to do the one that we played most recently? That
Sure,
was
I'm
a pretty
sure.
good game. Well, I felt like the one before that was even better.
I think so
Um,
too. Yeah, I think there was like some interesting stuff going on there.
there's like this interesting bishop thingy. So let me see if I can find that game. It's a little bit slow because I have Zoom going on, but so where's my record of games here? Would it be in home? Do you know, Lolly, where I can find the games that I played?
Oh, um, yeah. If you go to your profile and stats,
Yeah. Okay. So here's
I will say as
home. Oh, activity. Yeah.
I usually whenever I go to games, I go to stats, like it's where your picture is, and then yeah, over on the right, and then I'll look through
Okay.
the rapid.
Yeah.
I will say, as we're booting up a game, um, it is possible to get better. Like when I first started playing, I was I was rated like 600, and
Mm.
I lost. Like I remember, I was like really frustrated because I lost like my first like. Um, sorry, I'm eating a Pop Tart and I just saw a bug come out, so that's
Oh,
a good feeling.
of the Pop Tart?
I don't know if it was
No way.
I don't know if it was in the Pop Tart or not. I just see the bug on it, and I'm wondering. I'm so confused right now. I don't know. I mean, I guess the bug could have came from anywhere. I'm gonna check the Pop Tart thoroughly now.
Oh my god.
So I'm concerned, man.
Just put it aside. Don't finish it. It's not worth it.
I kind of want to dig through and just see like
Yeah,
what's
maybe
going on. I'm
maybe
making a
like
mess on my desk. There's so many crumbs. I'm heated. I really
all
want
right.
to eat this Pop Tart, dude.
So I feel like this is the game. So right now it's it's checking for mistakes. So this is like the engine, right? The computer, what have you. And so it says I made 4 mistakes, 1 blunder, and 0 missed wins. So let's go through the analysis.
All right, I'm gonna throw this out real quick.
Let's go inside the
Man,
mind of a Greg Jennings.
I
All right, pause.
really needed those calories, dude.
Just gonna
Fuck.
share.
I went skating today and I busted my knee.
Oh man,
You want to see it?
sure, man. We're recording, by the way.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, never mind. I just have it band-aids, but
Oh, good.
yeah, I was trying to ollie. I'm trying to get better at moving ollies.
Mm,
I ollied onto a curb. It took me like 50 tries, but that was part of that.
dang, man. Look at you building skills.
Hell yeah, the skills I build are not um marketable, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
um.
put them on my resume, but
So
no, the
anyway,
skills I build are not practical. That's a good way to put it. Like I'm good at chess.
yeah,
I like to skateboard.
yeah. But I mean, life is not all about the paycheck, you know.
I can't cook. My room is boring,
So in our break, I was like scrolling
unpresentable.
Instagram and I saw a meme. Like you know how the memes about Future being like a misogynist,
Yes,
like quoting the Bible of misogyny.
right.
So Future the rapper, and so this one was like, the one thing I learned from playing chess is that it's okay to have two queens,
He's so right.
which I feel like we'll probably see in this game because in my experience, most chess games, if they go on long enough, end up with queening at some point, right? But
Most likely, yeah.
without further ado, this is the game I think that we are talking about because I remember there was like a double bishop kind of pin going on.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
I
So
I remember if I could preface this, like I jumped out to an early lead and then you had a good counterattack with two bishops like deep in my like on the
yeah,
seventh rank
hmm
on me. And there was a lot of tricky play going on.
yeah. So what? Let's talk about what was going on here. So down here I have like I can go move by move, and chess.com will tell me like how good the move was. Now this bar on the left, do you know what this means? It's like basically the odds of winning, right?
It's um yeah, it's the engine's analysis of how winning your position is or lost.
So right now it looks pretty even. And so I'm guessing white bar is you, white, because you played white and I played black.
Mm, right,
But white is actually slightly up, 0.50, right? And that's the
right.
one thing they say in chess. I heard somebody say once that chess is a game of no luck, but except for who plays white, because playing
That's
white does give you a slight advantage.
that is true. That's really the only element is whether you play white or black.
Yeah,
And
so
the only difference is that you have one move, or in chess lingo, one time ahead of your opponent.
yeah, the tempo, as you always talk about, right? Who
Mm-hmm.
controls the tempo of the game? So let's get into it. So first move you make is there's only so many first moves you can make. Uh, so pawn to e4 or d4, right?
Yep.
Or would it be called e4 from your perspective? No, it's
No,
still
it's
d4.
B. Yeah.
So pawn to d4, pretty standard opening, right? Normally, this is one of the most common, right? The other one would be your king's pawn, so
Yep.
e4.
Mm-hmm.
And this is common. Why? Because they say you want to control the center, right?
That's right.
This is one of the first lessons I learned from like chess videos is that like controlling the center is key. So a pawn in the center is actually like better than a like it'd be very uncommon to start with like this pawn to a4, right?
Hmm.
You almost never see that.
Yeah, if someone did that, you'd probably be like, oh, they're like trolling.
Although, I mean, I honestly, I still kind of feel like that could be a good opening if you play the rest right, but what do I
Right.
know?
No, it could be. I mean, like that just plays into the theory of like, like playing an uncommon position so your
Right.
opponent doesn't know what to do.
But look what happened. So, like, you played that, the book symbol means that's a book move, right? So, that's like a standard chess theory opening. If I play this, what does it tell me? It'll probably say that was a mistake. So your
Yeah.
chances go up to 1.46 just because I made that move.
Oh wow, it's actually much higher than I would think.
But that's not what I did. What I actually did is probably pawn to d4 again. And my thinking here is that I want to
Five.
stop your pawn from advancing. Basically, I'm not playing copycat. I just don't want your pawn to get any further.
Sure.
Makes sense?
It also sort of. I mean, you're now defending against the pawn on e4 or c4.
Right. So you can't put a pawn here without me taking it.
Yeah, or
So
getting into
that's
some type of tactical line.
so what you do next here is considered another book move, getting out your bishop.
Mhm.
What do you want to say about this move?
So this is a I play this opening all the time for white. It's called the London opening.
Mm-hmm.
I generally play the accelerated London, like it says on the right there,
Hmm.
which is pawn to d4, d5 response, or whatever response sometimes, and then I play my bishop to f4, my queen's bishop.
Interesting. So I often play something different. I often put a pawn up here to guard my pawn, which is not what I did here. So here I put a rook, but I always feel like I have to defend this pawn somehow.
You put a knight.
Yeah. Yeah, knight, sorry. But most of the time I would have put like a pawn here to do that.
Hmm.
But that's kind of aggressive. This is actually, it's not, it kind of looks like the Scholar's Mate, but it's not, right? The Scholar's Mate, you'd have to start with this thing.
Yeah, yeah. The scholar's mate would take place on the f7 pawn.
Yeah, so Scholar's Mate, it's similar where you put out a pawn, but then you get your bishop and your queen out, and basically you can checkmate somebody in like, what is it, 4 moves?
Yeah, it's also called the four move checkmate.
So I did the knight here, which is considered another book move. It's always like the first 4 moves that they say are like book moves, and then after that.
Right.
Um, So what do you do next? Next, you do
Yeah, I do pawn
this.
e3.
Why?
That's to the idea behind that is that it unleashes or it allows the other bishop to move.
This guy. And it also defends this pawn here, right?
Yeah, it does. It does provide. Yeah, it defends the d pawn, but it also prevents the queen's bishop from returning to its original position. So that bishop is locked in, really, on that side of the
Right.
board, for most scenarios.
Good point. Now a lot of people I think would say like, who cares about a pawn? It's just a pawn. That's kind of common parlance that a pawn is like sacrificable. But I think really in chess, pawns are more valuable than people think, right? Because they can become queens. They're the only pieces that you can promote if you get to the other side of the board. And then also they provide excellent defense. So losing a pawn, like I've come to think this way recently, that like taking people's pawns is really the way to get at their king. You have to like take out their defense in order to get at their king.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're taking pawns, you're generally breaking down their structure.
Right. Some people have said like the person with the most pawns is winning the game, but actually we'll start to see once pieces go like how the actual like official counting system works. So what do? Get a little bit aggressive myself. I start to develop my bishop. This is kind of with the rule that developing pieces is like I watched a video that says there are 3 rules of opening chess: develop, develop, develop.
Hmm,
Meaning, yeah, like don't just get pawns up, but like try to get pieces out, because otherwise, what's the point of having bishops and stuff if you can't use them?
totally. Yep.
So I don't know though. I feel like I didn't think this through that much because my bishop is attacking your queen. Um, but you can't take my bishop because I would take it with the knight. But it's easily
Mhm.
to block. So I'm expecting you actually to block with this pawn.
Yeah, there's several ways to defend it.
So you block with the knight, which I think I wasn't expecting. Why did you block with the knight?
Um, that to me is just I don't want to move the F pawn to F3 because I'm most likely going to castle on the king side.
Right.
And if that pawn is moved to F3, then that's a diagonal that the king is vulnerable on.
Good
So
point.
I usually, and also moving the knight to F3 in the London system is like part of the idea. Generally,
Oh,
the knight will then try to make its way to E5 and attack C6. That's kind of the idea. That's at least
so
one.
E5 would be here, and then an attack C6, which would be
Over to the right of the board.
C6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here.
Do you have the numbers? It's
Oh yeah, 6 here.
yeah, yeah.
You're right. Huh. So that's interesting. Never really would have thought about that.
Yeah, a knight on E5 is really annoying. It's sort of it also attacks D7, which
Yeah,
is can be a vulnerable.
yeah. I know. I definitely know that from experience. Having knights close to home sucks. But yeah,
Definitely.
especially on E5, like you said, in the middle of the board.
Yeah. Yeah, move
So what?
having knights in annoying position. Like that's what knights do. Knights are
Mhm. Yeah. So what I think I would do here is probably take your knight because partly because I want to see what you're gonna do and like see if you'll kind of throw off your plan because I know like you picked the knight there instead of the pawn for a reason.
Mhm.
So I kind of want to interrupt your plan, but then also, knights and bishops are in the standard theory are considered equivalent, right? So they're both worth 3 points,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like knights are better, so I feel like trading a bishop for a knight. I usually don't mind doing that.
Yeah, it depends. I think at higher level play, I think higher level players prefer bishops, but
Yeah.
like I've actually heard like a grandmaster say that like a bishop could be worth like 3.5, but
Huh.
I don't know. It's all positional
Opinion.
and
Yeah.
scenario based. It depends on the game, depends on the position.
So just to run it down, like it's called the what's the term? The ranking, like the rating of pieces.
Oh,
Um,
that's about right.
well, there's a name for it. It's called like the exchange or something like that. And so
Um,
pawns are one,
right.
queens and knights are three.
No,
Uh,
bishops and knights.
sorry, bishops and knights are three. Rooks are five, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then queens are nine. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay. So chess.com actually tabulates this for you as you play, which I actually find, to be honest, to be maybe distracting because I always kind of get hung up on the points and I'm like, oh, I'm winning or oh, I'm losing. Like if I'm up on points, I'll sometimes just get cocky and then I'll start losing.
Totally. Happens all the
Yeah.
time
But yeah,
for
like you can be
players.
down on points and still come back to win like all the
Oh
time,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. I was just down like six today in one.
Interesting. So I didn't take your knight. Instead, I moved my knight up. Why?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's so I made this comment to you afterwards that I've never this is very aggressive and I've
Yeah.
never in all the times I've played the London, I don't think I've ever encountered this. So this was new for me.
Interesting. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, it says the computer said check mark means that's a good move. It says the best move would have been to push my pawn up here. I'm not sure. Oh, not sure why.
Probably to
Defend this
develop
pawn.
your and to develop the F bishop.
Yeah, that bishop too, because it's not preventing the knight. Like what I often do when somebody gets their knight out like yours is I'll move a pawn up like this so that
Yeah.
you can't move forward. So
Hmm.
I feel like that would have been a good move here too, but like a very probably the best move in my opinion.
Well,
But
yeah, but your knight was on F6.
oh yeah, that's right. That's why. So let's see what you do. You move there because you're trying to get this bishop out of your way, right?
Yeah, basically, I'm forcing you to make a decision.
Right. So I either take your knight or I back off. Let's see what I do. I back off in this direction, thinking that I can maybe do something kind of slick where like when I move this knight, I'm now attacking something that before I wasn't attacking,
Hmm.
which I found is often a good way to trick people because they don't think through pieces. So like
Yeah.
if I move this knight, I don't know, say your queen was here, it's like now I'm attacking your queen, you don't know what to do.
Hmm.
But basically, yeah, the bishop's safe
And
for
you
now.
you could also create a double attack. Let's say you move your
Mm-hmm.
knight, and
Yeah,
your knight could be attacking something vulnerable.
yeah,
So you can then have a double attack.
yeah. That's true. So that like so person has to choose the lesser of two losses.
Hmm.
So why do you move your pawn up here?
The idea behind that is that if you take it with your D pawn, so your D5 to C4,
Yeah.
my bishop then takes over that square. And so
Okay.
now I have another piece developed. I have both my bishops out and in the center of the board controlling. Having bishops in the center of the board are good because they're just pointed in all directions. And yeah, I'm also I could also push that pawn even further. I could push it to c5 if you don't take. There's a few different things that could happen. I also now unleash, like if I want to move my knight to c3, I'm now not blocking a pawn behind it.
So knight to c3 would
The other
be
knight.
oh here.
So like now, if in theory I end up doing nothing with that pawn, now at least if I move my knight behind it, I'm not blocking that pawn from
Right.
moving up. So
Wow,
it's just
that's
one more.
a lot of thought you put into that move.
Yeah,
Is
no
that part
doubt.
of the London opening as well?
It is. Yeah, I've learned that in like just
Huh.
like in theory.
Yeah. See, to me, like I feel like I just don't really even think that much about the first opening moves.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what, the like the C pawn and the F pawns are like often overlooked. Like a lot of people always like the two center pawns E and D, like they're always pushed, but it feels like
Right.
C and F aren't utilized as much as they could be.
I
Uh,
like to push the side pawns, H and A, because they're defended by the rook. So it's like,
mhm.
yeah, it's hard to take them.
Yeah.
So let's see what I do. I don't take it. I instead defend. Why? Don't know. Maybe because I saw that it would give your bishop that control, and I didn't want to do that.
Mhm.
Or again, maybe I just figured Lolly has some strategy, and I want to like mess it up by
Sure.
not doing what he expects.
That's a play too.
But also, yeah, I clear the way for this bishop probably unintentionally, and then once I have that bishop out of the way, I can castle, which is good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow, so you're getting your queen out pretty early.
Yep, and this again is just part of general theory of the London. Again, I've played this opening a lot. It's my strongest opening. So now the queen is attacking b7. Um,
So b7 is
the pawn in front of
this.
the knight.
Oh yeah,
So
so that pawn is vulnerable.
it essentially it forces you to defend. So generally b6 is the play.
Right, so move
Um,
the pawn up like that.
or there's actually like there's a line where so it's saying inaccuracy and it's saying to move your knight to b6 instead. So it's
Yeah.
basically it's saying the engine is saying that it's actually a better move if I when I take the pawn on b7, you move your rook over or something like that, or like I might be botching
Mm,
this. Oh no, that's wrong. Um,
Yeah, probably not the rook, because then you can get the knight here.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
trying.
know. It's weird. So yeah, the engine is saying not to move this up. What did I actually do? Well,
Yeah, you you
that's not.
you moved it. You moved to b6.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, at least
Eh,
that's what it said.
yeah, it's interesting that that's an inaccuracy. I don't
Um,
understand.
yeah, I wonder what does it suggest for my next move?
It doesn't say.
If you hit next, it'll say,
Yeah, your
okay, so it wants me
pawn
to play
to
g4.
g4.
Okay, yeah, because your knight is or your bishop is like close to
Yeah,
ground.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not totally sure what the why the engine thinks that's inaccurate. I an inaccuracy is sort of that's a pretty deep, like, minor mistake, I would say. Like, mistakes and
yeah.
blunders are like clear cut. It's like
Right.
this is why. Inaccuracies are like,
Could have been better.
yeah,
Eh.
yeah,
eh.
right.
I think maybe it's because like this pawn here. I mean, if you took it with your queen, it's just one pawn, and then your queen is kind of deep in here, and it can't do much because it can't take my castle. So let's go back, right?
Right,
If you take this pawn, you can't take. If I go here, you would take this pawn. You can't take my castle because I would take your queen, and you
right.
can't really go down here. So what I could then do is start trying to move my knight up. I couldn't
Yeah,
go here though. I couldn't
right,
go
and it's
here.
actually defended by your bishop.
Oh yeah, so I could. I could go here. And
There's
then I could
there's
and then I could maybe go here and then fork you with the king and the rook.
there's even some like crazy line too where like the queen gets trapped and like I end up like losing a queen. Like that
Yeah.
does happen
I mean
sometimes.
it's happened to me before. But anyway, so it says this is a mistake or an inaccuracy rather, but that's what I did. And
hmm
then you played.
That's what I would do too, as well.
I mean, it makes sense cuz you're defending, but it's good to know that I should next time it happens play the knight out.
hmm
So you play your knight out here, just kind of developing and getting ready to castle on this side, I guess.
Um, I think that was my idea. I don't think I castle that side. But yeah, I think it's just general development.
Okay. So yeah, right here it's like it's not any you're not threatening anything because I
Oh,
mean
I remember the idea behind this. It's the I'm now threatening d5 3 times. So I have my pawn on c4, I have the knight on
uh-huh,
c3, and
right.
also I have the queen on the diagonal behind it.
Okay. So the idea with that is like you're attacking it more times than I could defend it, right? So you could do something perhaps where you take here, like you take it with your pawn, and then I take back with my pawn, and then you take with your knight, but then I can't take with my queen because I would lose my queen to your queen, right?
Mhm.
So there's this idea, right, where if you have more pieces attacking a square than your opponent has defending it, then you'll win out in an exchange, right? When
Yeah.
all the hands are thrown.
hmm
So that's actually a really useful piece of strategy. I think that if you can attack square with a lot of pieces, and then your opponent like can't really defend it.
And that's true of really a lot of really how you progress and build your position.
Yeah, and so like yeah, you'll like in an exchange you'll lose pieces, but ultimately gain. I guess gain
Advantage.
material. They say yeah,
Mhm.
gain the advantage. So how do I respond? Okay, I respond by again just trying to be disruptive. So I kind of take your I think it's because I know that you're like a better player than me, so I just am trying to be disruptive. So I take your knight to just try to disrupt whatever strategy you have going on, knowing that I'm going to lose my knight somehow. You take it with your pawn. Any
Mm.
reason for doing that instead of taking it with your queen?
Um, that's a good question. I think maybe I just wanted to keep that queen on the diagonal. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really want to have it blocked, but it does say that the queen
There's a better
moving
move.
over is a better move. Having a pawn, almost a pawn cube or pawns behind each
Yeah,
other on the same
doubled up
file.
pawns, right?
yeah, is generally not advised. It sort of
Yeah.
breaks, it creates kind of more vulnerable pawns, and now
Yeah.
now the C pawn is harder to defend.
Especially later in the game, right? Like in the end game,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you have so little pieces, and like pieces are pawns are not considered pieces, right? Pieces are everything but the pawns.
yeah.
Um, and then you're basically end up trying to take the other person's pawns, and if they have doubled up pawns, it's a lot easier than if they have pawns like diagonal, right, defending each other.
Hmm.
So that comes in hand like into play later in the game. I feel like the middle game really starts once pieces start getting taken. Does that sound right?
Possibly, I think of it as more like past theory, like past opening theory.
Because I feel like we kind of just entered the middle game now. But
Yeah, I would say we're in middle game at this point.
yeah. So we just did an exchange. Another thing I didn't realize that I just opened up. Now I have this lane taken up by the bishop, my f5 bishop. So you're not allowed to castle right now, right? Because
True.
you'd be moving. You're not allowed to castle through a lane that's threatened by
Hmm.
any piece. So that was, I think, an unintentional consequence, probably. So what do I do next? I push this pawn up. I think what I'm trying to do is kind of like squeeze your queen. So I figure like now your queen can't go on any of these green squares. Um, you can, however, go on this white square, B5, and I
Hmm.
don't know why I gave you that, but this pawn is also covered, like I said, by the rook. So I kind of do like to push the corner or the side pawns. You do. Okay, so now you're starting to attack. So you took d5.
Hmm.
So why did you decide to do that?
Um, that's a good question. I don't totally know.
Mm.
I
I think that was kind of your plan when you had the knight there too.
Right, right, but now I don't have the advantage because the knight is gone. So now
Yeah.
it's an even. So I'm actually I don't really remember why I did that.
I mean, it's not really a bad move, but I'm probably gonna take back because I kind of have to, because if I don't take back here, then you're either gonna get another pawn or you're gonna move up and just start causing trouble in my defenses, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So it'd be kind of stupid to not take.
Yeah,
Maybe. So I take.
which you taking is the best move.
So it says. So now, like, if you took this pawn with your queen, I would get your queen with mine.
Hmm.
But
It's evenly defended
what's
and attacked.
interesting here is you could now take this pawn c2 with your bishop, or c7, sorry, with your bishop, and then I would have to take with my queen or something, and then you could get this pawn with your queen.
That's true. That would be a a sacrifice of the bishop for
The
potentially a better
position,
position.
yeah,
It's a
true,
pretty interesting position because my queen would be threatening check. I'm threatening the bishop on f5.
right.
Yes, that's a pretty interesting move.
But let's see what you actually did. So you push the knight up to
Mhm.
e5, which the computer says is the best move. So now your knight is kind of giving me some trouble, right? You're threatening the f7 pawn, which would then, if you get your knight here, now you're forking me between the queen and the rook. So in that case, because of the knight and the way
However,
that
your
it
king
moves,
could take.
yes, the king could take the knight, but at that point, I honestly start to get anxiety when I start to think about like taking a piece with my king, because I'm like, oh, then I'm putting the king in danger. Do you feel like
Definitely.
that's irrational or no?
No, I'd think I'd be curious. So, like, let's just check it out. Let's say you move your pawn to g6, and then I move my knight to f7. I wonder what the engine would say.
So if I move my pawn to g6 and then you move your knight to f7,
Yeah, just that's just like a basic. Yeah, I'm curious how the engine would think of what it would think of that move. So it actually doesn't like that at all.
because then I could just take your knight.
Right. And yeah, yeah. So I just essentially just lose a piece. So
Yeah, I feel like, even though chess has this reputation of being like hyper logical, logic is probably a myth, right? You studied psychology, you probably have heard that like we think a lot more with our emotions than people realize.
mhm.
So there's really like not a hard line between like logic and emotions, and I feel like, yeah, in chess I do get like anxious, or I'll get like tense when things start to get like, and I wonder if I should do something to try to like check that more to make better decisions. Because like it just showed, if you move your knight there, taking it really is the best. But I feel like I just have this like gut check of like keep your king in the back row.
Mm,
Kind of silly.
yeah, and that's really the best way to combat that is just experience,
Mm-hmm.
is still playing,
Right.
and also
Seeing how the
just
yeah,
calculate it out. Just calculate
yeah,
like what's going to happen, and that's kind of the good thing about
right,
dailies is like you can just sit there
exactly,
and also you have the analysis tool that you can actually make the moves. You don't have to do it in your head. Like you can actually like do it
right. You can play it out on the.
on the board. Yeah. Or like you could do all the hypotheticals, like everything.
You can play out the board on dailies.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you
Hmm.
as you're playing a daily, you can do the analysis button and then
Oh,
you can just
maybe I can't do that. I don't know. Or
you
I play on my phone, so maybe that's different.
you should be able to. I've done it on my phone. And it's not
Yeah,
a premium feature. You can do it for free.
I did not know that.
It's yeah, check that. It's helped a ton for me for sure.
But yeah, I mean the king, you're right, is not really in danger because another thing to keep in mind is like the white squares versus the black squares, or in this case green squares. So
Hmm.
like if I did take this space f7 with the king to take your knight, say, your bishop here can't threaten it because this is a green square bishop.
Right.
So my king is safe from that, which is really nice. Like to know that the other bishop can't get you on a certain colored square. It's kind of like a rule of thumb.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, bishops are the only piece that really can't.
yeah,
Once it's on a one, it's bound to its color. Or
yeah, whatever colored square it's on, it has to stay on. So that's like a good rule to figure out, like if you're safe from the bishop. Whereas I feel like knights are the hardest ones to feel safe from. Their movements are
yeah, knights are
so
tricky, man.
their movements are so hard to calculate, and that's why like it's so easy to get a knight behind the enemy lines and like
Hmm.
fork them. So like
Knights are also the only pieces that can jump over other pieces.
exactly. So they're really tricky to calculate. So just if anybody doesn't is curious to know, a fork means what? It doesn't have to be a check necessarily, right? It's
No,
basically where you're threatening two pieces at once, and like the opponent has to like lose one.
yeah, essentially. A fork is, yeah, it's attacking two things at once with a knight. Also,
Yeah.
you can fork with you can fork with a pawn. That's another really
Mm,
powerful fork is two pieces that are on the same row but
mm-hmm.
two apart and a pawn forks them.
Yeah. But so let's see how I respond to this move. So the computer is saying I should have moved this pawn up to protect the one that your queen is attacking, but instead I push a pawn up to force your queen to do something. And
Mhm.
I'm thinking, I think this is not a bad move because where do you really have to go? Like, you can't take the pawn because then I get your queen with the rook. You can't go on any of these green squares because my bishop is guarding them. You can't take this pawn because my queen is guarding that. So really, you can
There-
either go on this white square, c4, or you can back off.
Not c4 just because you would then just take it with your
Oh
pawn.
yeah. So
Um,
sorry, you could go
b5.
b5
Yeah,
or
but
back off.
yeah, so I could put you in check. But there's really not a lot of purpose to that.
Yeah.
or I mean that could be powerful because I have my bishop and knight attacking
Right.
that area. I mean, the knight is then attacking c6, which is most likely that's how you'd have to defend it. So that could potentially be a
Right.
double.
Right.
I actually don't quite remember what I do. So
What do you think you did?
I think I backed the queen up.
Let's see. You did. And so the computer's
And,
saying
and
you
the
should
engine
do something
actually
else.
recommends you to go to b5. Yeah.
Because if you went here, I could move my king up, but then I would be taking away this bishop's power. So probably I would move this if you had gone here,
Hmm.
I would probably have
And so the
pushed
idea behind
my
that,
pawn.
if you push your pawn, then I could take it with the knight. And then if
Right.
you took back with your knight, which I think would probably be the best move. Now I'm checking
Yeah.
you,
And you're
and
forking here.
yeah, now it's starting to get
So
really.
now it's getting hairy. So now it's like I don't want to do this because then you get the rook. So instead I like would do this and then you could like check like this or like this. So
Yeah,
then I'm just like on the defensive.
yeah, that's a really messy position.
So yeah, I mean there might have been a better way to defend though than moving like probably I would say this would be a better defense, but in any case what had happened was you moved your queen back.
Yeah, which it says is a mistake.
Yeah, and then I respond by doing a blunder. And this is the one blunder of the game. And it's interesting. Look at the bar on the left here. So you go from being just slightly up. So this is like essentially the same advantage that we started with. Point
Hmm.
0.5. Point 0.5 is what the game started at just because you're white. But
Hmm.
now I make this move and it says your advantage is now plus 0.682. So like very likely to win.
Hmm.
And I feel like I didn't realize this was a mistake when I made it. This is a 24-hour game, so I had plenty of time to think about it. So
Now, funny enough,
why?
I can't see what the. I'm kind of curious. What is the what's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering what the mistake is.
I'm trying to figure out before you go forward.
It's funny we can't figure it out.
Um, I think I think it's because then I can move my knight to f7, which I think is what I did.
But then I can still take here. Oh,
Right.
but then then you take.
Right.
Oh, okay, so you move your knight to f7, but it says that's a mistake
Or
or an
inaccurate.
inaccuracy. But
So it's
yeah, so if your knight's here,
I'm still heavily up. Like this is a +5, but it's saying if I develop my bishop to put your king in check.
right, that would be better. But so anyway, if you did put your knight here, I just wanted to see. Some people might not see it. You're threatening the queen and the rook at the same time. So
Yeah.
this is a type of fork. You're threatening two pieces, and so if I move my queen, I lose the rook, or vice versa. So then I could take with the king, but now you take the queen because it's that opened up. So that is a really that would be a good that would be I think a good move, but it says there's an even better move.
Yeah. And I'm actually curious what the better move is. Um, and that's the reason for the blunder, for the queen blunder.
Yeah, the better move it says would be to move your bishop there. So let's see what happens if you move your bishop to
Because
b5.
then you're in check.
Now I'm in check, and so how can I respond? I can respond like this, but then you can check me again,
Yeah.
and so then I can respond. I only have one.
Oh, that's actually
Well,
that's not it.
I can
So
do this. I mean, still, I guess
so
you're winning.
it's saying that it's saying the bishop move is a mistake, a huge mistake. So I'm trying to figure out if you move your king there, what is the move there?
If I hit play, is that going to tell me what the best move is?
Oh, I think it's. I'm pretty sure it's Wait, hold on. I wanna figure this out. Um, I feel like I can figure it out. I don't know. I'm too tired. What?
Oh, you know what I think it is?
No, I saw that too, but you could just take the knight.
Yeah, but then you get my queen.
Well, that's yeah. You can move your queen over and take it.
Oh, it says that's a big mistake. Yeah, that's why.
I
Um,
don't know. Try just moving a piece because it'll say what the next. If you do also if you do the self analysis button on the up in the top right, it'll show you all the lines and it'll show you what the best move is.
at the top right, self-analysis.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a check mark. It's right below report and moments and analysis.
Okay, self-analysis.
So you'd have to go back one.
Oh, like this.
Yeah, you could also use the arrow keys on the keyboard.
So
So
here
I'm just
it's gonna give
curious.
me.
Yeah, I'm curious just what is it telling me to do here?
I don't
Uh
know. Castle.
it's actually telling me to castle. I oh no, so it's saying C6 check or C4. Uh
So C6 check here.
yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
it says that's the best move. So
Ah, okay. And because then you would like take. I can't take here.
you could take with your knight.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, I
But
feel like this gets
so
very complicated. But
the,
we've
the
at least
reason is
shown.
the reason is because your queen is now attacked by my bishop. That's the idea.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So it's the check that forces you to deal with the check of the knight, and then but
Yeah.
your queen is lost.
So basically, this move is how
But
I
that didn't
lost
happen.
to
None of that
you.
happened.
Well, what actually happened is that I did this.
You're right. So and I put knight f7, which is
And so I'm waiting for it to come up. I don't know why it's not coming up with the analysis things again, if it's just being slow or if
I
I've
see
run
it. I
out.
see it on mine.
No, like where it says that it was a blunder.
Oh, yeah. It could just be because I guess the self analysis is on. I'm not sure.
Oh, let me turn it
Also,
off.
if you go to report, that might do it.
Gotcha. But yeah, so it says this is a blunder, and if you look at like
No, I don't know.
the odds here from here on out, like from up until now, it was kind of like you were winning slightly,
Hmm.
but from here on out, it's like you're winning by a lot. So what
Right.
actually goes on here? So that was like kind of the clutch moment of the game. You do that. So now, yeah. So I'm gonna basically lose my queen at this point.
Or
I
you end up losing your rook in the corner, which is a if you had to make a decision, you made the right one because
Right. So the rook is worth 5, the queen is worth 9. The queen's a more powerful piece, and the rook is not even out yet. It's like stuck, right? So
Mhm.
instead I'm probably, yeah, I do move my queen to safety, kind of.
that was a good move too to move your queen there. I actually didn't see that initially.
Right.
That was probably the best counterattack I think you could have made.
Probably. I wish that it would tell me. I'm gonna turn off the self-analysis. Maybe it'll tell
Yeah,
me
I
like
think if you turn
the
off
best
the
move thing again.
mhm.
Okay, yeah. So it says that's actually the best move. Because if you take my rook now, I actually can take your queen and come out on top ahead. So I'm forcing you to do something with your queen to like instead of doing this right away.
Mhm.
You could take my queen with yours, but then I get your queen. It's a queen for queen. So what do you
Yeah,
do?
I,
Oh, you
I,
take it.
I
I was
do.
surprised. Why?
I think at this point I have to. Like that's the best. It's the best move. I we exchange queens, and but now your compensation is now that your bishop is on f3, which is a strong bishop. Uh,
But couldn't you have just moved your queen to safety?
um, no, because
Could have
then
gone here.
then I just lose the knight, and that ruins the entire attack.
Oh, interesting. I feel like I would have done that. I would have moved my queen to safety and not realized that I was going to lose the knight. So yeah, it says you made the best move. If you had moved your queen there, then I would have been winning. Would have changed.
Hmm.
That would have been a blunder, actually.
Hmm.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so that was a good counterattack because your compensation was having a very strong bishop, even
Right.
though you lose the rook. And
Right.
also, an additional to that is that you are now one step closer to having both your rooks. You're one step closer to unleashing your other rook to then attacking that knight.
Mm,
And also, you ended up moving your king over, so that was one step closer as well.
fair. Um, but yeah, also I feel like taking somebody's queen can sometimes just throw them off their game plan.
True, a lot of newer players rely on their queen.
Guilty. But so you definitely make the right move. You take my queen, I take your queen with bishop, and then you take rook with knight, right?
Hmm.
And so now we're getting deep into the middle game. A lot of pieces are being taken,
Yeah.
and we're kind of trying to get advantages. So right now your advantage is like +5, right? We could change queens, but you got a rook that I don't have,
Right,
right?
right.
So what do I have to do now? Basically, this pawn is vulnerable. It's vulnerable to your bishop, so I should do something to protect that pawn, right?
Yeah, and instead I believe you move your bishop
I
to,
attack, yeah.
yeah, you move it to, yeah.
So the thought that so this is saying, oh, knight to d7 is best because then I'm not sure why. Honestly, I feel like we have to move a little bit quicker with the analysis just for the sake of time here.
Hmm.
But my thought is kind of like the best defense is a good offense. So yeah, you could take my pawn with your bishop, but I take your rook with my
Right,
bishop.
and that rook is pretty in a pretty precarious spot because your other bishop is also attacking b1, and
Right.
then your
Right.
other bishop. So now your bishops are working together, and two bishops in tandem are very dangerous. They can really
Yeah, because
once.
they take away two squares next to each other. So like right now, your only way to get this out of trouble is to move all the way over here.
Which I didn't see. I didn't see any of this initially. Like this was all something I was just like kind of playing by ear.
What
Like
do you
like
mean?
when I did I didn't calculate that deep when um I took the knight on f7. I wasn't thinking about even the counterattack. Like I didn't think about any of this.
You were just thinking you would fork
Yeah,
queen in the right.
I did. I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't
That's yeah.
calculating the counterattack.
That's usually how far ahead I think. I mean, in the 24-hour games, I have started thinking 3, 4 moves ahead, sometimes 5. But like in 10-minute games, I don't have time to do that
Yeah, it's
personally.
yeah.
I mean, if you
I
do,
mean,
that's
not
I'm
at my level.
impressed.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the position, but generally no.
Yeah. I think you're right though. Playing the 24-hour games does help you improve because the 10-minute games
It does make you better.
you have to make such quick decisions that a lot of times I don't even realize where I made a mistake or why because I just like had to think quick.
Yeah, and I didn't come up with that. I've heard that many times. Like the slower chess you play, the better
And
you'll learn.
that actually applies to many things in life. I learned that first from my music teacher in college, and he was like, I'm a symphony writer. I've been a musician my whole life. Whatever. He's like, trust me when I tell you, like, practice slow. He's like, don't think that it's for like newbies or whatever. It's not. Like everybody needs to practice slow, and like don't try to play a piece at full speed the first time you practice it or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like that just it works so well in so many things in life that you just want to like practice slow to get better.
Hmm.
I tell my students all the time, I do a lot of tutoring, right? And I'm like, read this slowly and clearly. Because a lot of people, they read too fast and then they don't really think about what it's saying.
Yeah. Not
Um,
processing.
yeah. But anyway, what happens here? You do move your rook out of trouble, which is supposed to be the best move. I then move my bishop to attack your rook again. so putting extra pressure. And now you can't move your rook anywhere in the back row because all of these 4 spaces are being attacked by my bishops. So this is like what we both thought was kind of the interesting part of the game, was
Yeah.
having these 2 bishops deep in here. We don't see this too much.
Right.
So then what can you do? You can move your bishop here. This is the only place you can go without losing your not your bishop, your rook rather, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do? You actually move your king there, which it says is the best
Oh
move.
yeah, it starts getting really complicated here.
I mean, what the king does, so I can take the rook, but
Mm.
then you get the bishop.
But
So then I actually get 2 points on you.
the added benefit to moving the king up was that now I'm also defending c3. That pawn is also vulnerable.
C3, this pawn here.
Right. So now,
Oh, I didn't even see
right.
that. So I could have I could have started gathering up these pawns because that's the thing with pawns, right? Once you get behind them, you can start taking them
Yeah.
out. But from the front, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so much like military stuff.
Hmm.
Flank them. So that
Yeah,
says that's the best
sure.
move, which is interesting. I would have thought to maybe like just move the rook up, and then you're kind of threatening both of the bishops. It's like I'll get one of them, if not both. But I could have
But
responded like this.
right, and that
Yeah,
pins the rook.
exactly. So the pin means the rook cannot move because the king would be in check. So you're not allowed to move a piece that would put the king in check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you didn't do that. So you did this, which is the best move, and I responded by taking that, which it says also was the best move because it's a +2. So rooks are worth 5, bishops are only worth 3. You respond by taking my bishop, but it says that was an inaccuracy. Better move would have been to move here, your bishop
Yes,
here.
right. I think the idea behind that is if my bishop is on d3, I can attack the pawn on h7, which then frees my knight because my knight is essentially trapped at the moment.
Right, your knight can't move without getting taken. Also, noticeably, my c2 pawn is still vulnerable. You can still take it with your bishop at any time.
Which I think I do eventually.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I felt like that would have been a good time to take it right there. Well,
Well, yeah, I decided to take back the bishop.
yeah, which is okay. So this is then what I do, start eating up your pawn there just
Mm-hmm.
to create space. So like it's only worth 1, but I've created this space where now I could maybe try to get my rook in there or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Or even like this pawn is close to try to being queened.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? So then you do take that pawn, which is just vulnerable, which it says was a good move, but the best move would have been to move your king up, which would force me to move my bishop somewhere else.
Which I believe I eventually do as well.
Okay, so I move my knight out, which interesting. Oh, it says is the best move because I'm saving it from getting eaten by your bishop.
And
Um,
you're also attacking the bishop.
yeah, I'm attacking the bishop. I mean, although like if you did take it, it would have been an even exchange because I would take with my rook.
Mm-hmm.
Which could have been, I think, kind of good, because then once I take with the rook, then I have this rank. But anyway, I do that, so I'm attacking your bishop, so you probably move your bishop.
Yeah, I think it wants me to take
So it says that's an
on
inaccuracy.
b6. Yeah, it says I
Well,
should take on b6.
yeah, because that's a free pawn. You don't lose
Mm-hmm.
anything by taking that. So instead, now it's probably like, well, I don't know.
It would be an even exchange. Let's say you take the bishop, then I would just take your bishop. That was my idea.
Yeah, so I think here I did kind of make uh,
Yeah, this is when it starts
a
getting
bit of a
tricky. And
yeah,
I
this might have
thought
been
it
a bad
too.
move because I figured you're gonna take here, and then I take here. Or I also figured, I don't know, I figured that I'll be able to put your king in check pretty easily, right?
Which you do.
But it's like it's kind of a useless check because I don't have anything else really to help out. So at this point, I feel like I'm kind of grasping at straws where like my only hope of winning really is like if you make a mistake. Which is interesting. I feel like somebody who's not a chess player would see a board like this and not really realize what was going on. But if we look at the pieces, you're up 4. So we have the same number. You have one more pawn than me, and you have a minor piece. So like you have a bishop of mine. Um, I think that's really why you're winning. It's not really a matter of positioning, right?
Yeah,
Because
probably.
you're not really threatening check.
Right, my position isn't particularly advanced, but however, you have
Yeah,
you have a pawn island, you have a pawn alone on d5. You're down.
yeah. Pawn. So pawn islands are bad, right?
You can no longer castle. Your king is in the middle of the board. It's pretty vulnerable.
True. So I did this. What did you do? What do you took? And
I
so then
took
I took, right? Yeah.
puts me in check.
I'm surprised that it says taking with the knight is better.
Yeah, I don't quite know the theory behind that.
I mean, if I took with the knight, then I could do a double check later, the next move.
Right. I would definitely, let's say you took with the knight there, I would definitely move my king. No question.
I would go there, and then you would like move out of the way. Yeah, I mean, my thinking was that like it's good to check when you can because you control the movement of the
Yeah,
king, right?
you
You have to do something that you might not want to do.
right.
So
You gain a tempo.
yeah, you gain a tempo for sure. So I do take like that, which it says is fine, is good. So now you have to move. This whole row is cut off from you, right? So you can either move to the D row. Is that what it's called? Or file?
Yeah, file.
The D file or the B file. So what do you
I
do?
I can't move. I can't move to b3. Your pawns there.
Right, but you could have moved to
Oh, right.
B2,
That's right.
which it says is alternative. So it's the engine is saying those are equally good.
So I should note at this point, like it seems like such a minor move moving my king over to d2,
Yeah.
but I saw I this was a deep, like I had to calculate like 5 6 moves ahead at each of these moves because it was like, okay, if I move my king, your king is that's your everything. So
Mm-hmm.
what happens from there? So like I saw
Exactly.
this too. Like I saw b2 or d2, and I had to
Right.
like do deep, like I had to go deep in and see like what's going to happen. This is where the analysis tool is like very helpful because you can hypothetically move pieces.
See, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we got to get you on that.
so
100%.
this is the end game, right? And this is where like these are not book moves. This is not there's not really like strategies that you can like memorize for this. This is kind of just like you got to think moves ahead.
Yep,
And if you don't think far enough ahead, then you can make a move that just costs you the game, right?
totally. You can be up all game and then make a mistake in end game and lose it.
For sure. It's happened to both of us many times, I'm sure.
Have me, dude. I had a sickening loss yesterday.
Oh my god, just go outside and punch yourself in the stomach. Punch yourself in the balls.
Dude, it was like it was like one of those losses. Like it was like that. Like I was winning all game and then I got checkmated,
That
and
sucks, dude.
I was up like 5 or 6, and it literally like I lost and my heart started racing. I was like, wow, that was like pathetic.
I get pissed, dude. I've had nights like that where I keep losing games that I really should have won, that I
Those are
just
the worst.
slip through my fingers games.
Yeah.
And I'll just like stay up. I'll like I have to win a game, or like I'll be like I have to win
Oh yeah.
I have to win a game in a good way. Like
Dude,
I can't win like an easy game against somebody that sucks. It has to be like a
mhm.
decent win.
Yeah, dude, it's like gambling. Like if you lose, you're like, I gotta win. I gotta get back.
It's such a blow to my self-esteem though when I like keep losing. Like when I lose in ways like that, it
Oh
sucks.
yeah. Oh yeah. Because then you start to feel stupid, and you just
Yeah,
like,
that's why I always say I hate chess, but
yeah.
that's
I
what I usually say when Ollie beats me in chess. I just respond, I hate chess.
Yeah, especially when you lose to someone dumber than you. But like, yeah, I think when you like, I was talking to Sam about this actually. Like, he was like, he said something that stuck with me. He was like, what is it about this game that I'm putting my self worth into it? I thought that
Yeah.
was pretty interesting. Because
Well,
he has that, his chess for him is Call of Duty Warzone,
yeah.
and before chess for me it was Counter Strike. Like it's all
Uh
like we always have this thing that we're like, this
Basketball
is, yeah, exactly,
used
track.
to be basketball, yeah.
And it used to be my fucking PR. So it's like,
Hmm.
you think like your entire existence starts to boil down to how good you are
Yeah,
and how worthy you are.
I've
Yeah.
often started thinking about evolutionary psychology, how this, games and competitions are like a proxy for like, essentially fighting or competing
Hmm.
for mates for like
Yeah.
mating rights in a dominance hierarchy.
True.
I mean, I don't know though. I think evolutionary psychology is so risky with its speculations and stuff.
Yeah. It's all very theoretical.
Because it's like, I don't know. I don't really feel like I have to dominate other dudes in most aspects of life. But like when there's a competition, right? And it doesn't have to be like male. It's just like when there's a competition, nobody likes to lose, right? Who likes to lose? And
Right.
I feel like
Yeah.
there are some things where I can like, if I don't put a lot of effort into it, if it's like a game that I never play, or if it's a game where like nobody takes it seriously, it's like fine, it's just a game, I don't care. But there are some
Mhm.
games that like because of what everybody puts into it and like the expectation, it's more than a game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The pressure.
Or like especially like chess. Like I said, I put so much time into playing chess that like losing in chess, like the idea of like, oh, I suck at chess after putting so much time into it is
Hmm.
like I am stupid. I'm like worthless because I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. You start to feel like you're like, I'm a failure. Like what?
Yeah.
What am I? There's. I mean, it's frustrating. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Like I don't get
Right.
this, and like why are people that I perceive as like at my skill level or lower passing me?
Right.
What's
Right.
going on here?
Yeah.
So
It's like the
yeah,
more you put into something, the harder it is to lose or to fail. Right.
yeah, that's true. It's like sunken cost.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So as we continue.
what do I do here? I'm just continuing to try to attack. So this is apparently the best move. Why? I'm attacking a pawn, and I'm also like kind of trying to set up for sort of
Yeah.
double check using some sort of move. So like if you don't move your king here, then I can check you with my rook and also be
Hmm.
protected.
Hmm.
So what do you think you do here?
Um, I think I moved my king again.
That would make sense.
Yeah,
Wait to where?
I think I want to get out of check. I think I go to D1, but I could be wrong.
Oh,
Okay.
so you counterattack, which
Okay, I
is
counterattack,
says the
which is a
best move.
check. Yeah. And now I'm also attacking your A4 pawn.
Yeah, so it says that's the best move. Now, I think I didn't feel very threatened by this at the time. I don't think, because oh, you're checking my a4 pawn. What do you mean? Oh,
Um,
with the bishop there. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because I was like, yeah, I can move out a check here, pretty easily. Just stay on the
Hmm.
green squares.
Hmm.
So that's the best move. I don't know why I couldn't have moved to another square. Wouldn't have been equally good, but I figure here I'm kind of like getting a little closer to your knight, so I could like take it
Hmm.
eventually. Like if you move this bishop out of the way, then I can like move my king over one more, and then your knight is like gone.
Essentially
Yeah.
gone, yeah.
But what do you do? So you take the pawn, like you said. So you're still
Yeah,
attacking.
I remember I must have calculated that like you moving. Oh, you want to know what it is? Is that the bishop covers C2 now? Bishops defend backwards. So yeah, that was the thinking there.
It covers c2, so like this square right here.
Right. So if you
Oh,
if
I
you
can't
were
go here
to,
now.
so
Yeah.
now
Uh huh.
it ruins that plan of them basically.
Yeah. Good call. Okay, so what do I
Bishops
do?
bishops are great, man.
Watch, I probably move there anyway and just like
I don't I
yeah.
don't think you do.
No, I probably go here. Yeah,
Yeah, you
so
could take the pawn there. Yeah.
that's what it says. So I think that's what I did. Nope, this is what I did. I decided to try to attack your knight.
Hmm.
So now the only way to protect your knight, well, there is no way really,
No
because if
way.
your knight goes anywhere your knight goes, it's taken, and if you move
It's
your bishop
gone.
here, so I thought that was pretty slick. But you did this, so now you're threatening here. So it's like if I take your knight, you take mine, whatever. Um, so I move here to save my knight, which is the best move. And what do you think you did next?
Um, I don't know actually. I have no idea.
So you can't move your rook now to threaten mine because I would take it with the knight.
I think maybe I did do B1
You could do
the
this.
rook,
A1 or
B1 to
B1.
attack the pawn.
But why not A1?
Just because that. Oh, that's true. I mean, but then you can move your knight to C3, which is defended.
Ah, so it says this is an inaccuracy, but not a
Hmm.
big deal. You didn't go much down much on the odds, but you're forking, right? So you're threatening the knight and also the
Right,
pawn.
right.
So it's like I'm probably gonna lose one of them. I mean, there are certain defenses that work against forks, though, right? Like we saw earlier where I did the queen move. So like you can counterattack maybe, or somehow or I mean, I could maybe figure out something that works here, but. So what
Yeah.
do? I think my thought on something like this would be to
You-
try to counterattack.
I think you just took the knight.
Um, yeah, because I can't counterattack here. I can't check you in any way.
Hmm.
I could move my knight here, but then you would
Yeah,
win in exchange. You could go take my knight, and then I could
yeah.
take your rook. You would take mine back, so you would come
Hmm.
up on it. You would win in exchange there.
Hmm.
So what did I do? Um,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you just take the knight with your king.
nope, I did this.
Oh, oh,
Which
nice.
says is the best move. So now my knight is safe. You can't take it with the king because you're not allowed to move your king into check.
Mm-hmm. And
And then I'm also threatening check.
you're also defending D5 the D5 pawn.
That's true. Yeah. So actually, yeah, there's a good way to get out of the fork, right? So now I don't lose any piece in this exchange.
I'm pretty
Um,
sure this next move is when I think I know what happens next. Yeah. So if I could explain real quick, I'm trying to be fancy here, and I'm trying to. I see that your pawn on D5 is pinned
yeah,
because the king is on the diagonal that the bishop is on B3. So I'm trying to be fancy here and going, well, I can push my pawn and you can't take because the pawn is pinned. However, I
right,
completely missed that your knight could just take it.
right.
And
So
and
that's
it
why I
also
called a
puts me in
mistake.
check. So that's a mistake.
Yeah, so it's saying you should have taken this. You should have moved your knight out, but that's kind of dumb because I would just take it. I would take the
Yeah,
king
it
anyway.
it's basically trying to make the best of a bad situation and just like double
Even
your
though you're
pawn.
winning by a lot, but
Yeah.
okay, so that's what I do. I see that opportunity, take the pawn, and now you're in check. And now I'm starting to see a glimmer of hope. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, if Lolly just moves back to D1, that would be such a rookie mistake because then I fork you. If you go here, huge rookie mistake. I go here, you're in check, and now your
Hmm.
rook is mine. So that would be like now the odds
Yeah.
have moved back, and I'm winning. But of course, you didn't do that. So where do you think you put your king?
I think I moved it to E3 if I had to guess.
E3, probably. I mean, so this whole file again is off limits
Oh,
because of the
I know what
rook.
I did. I took your pawn on D5, put you in check, you take the knight, and then I take your knight.
You took the pawn on D5.
Hmm.
You can't because you're in check.
Oh yeah, what am I talking about?
So you have to like move. You have to move your king somewhere.
Yeah,
Um,
what did I do? I don't know.
hard to say. I mean, I feel like anywhere is an okay move besides back. But it says you
E2.
picked the best move. E2 is the best move.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess you can't really do anything. You can't threaten the knight here.
That's true because yeah.
What you're doing, you're preventing the knight from moving up. So I can't move up anywhere.
Hmm.
Knowing myself, I feel like here I probably put you in check again. The knight. Nope. So I took your knight because it was free. So in terms of pieces now, material, you're only up one now.
Hmm.
So I'm surprised that the engine still has you so far ahead.
Yeah,
Before this move, you're up plus 0.336. I mean
mhm.
3.36.
My thinking is that I have an additional pawn, and
Right.
my king is more active, but that's really it.
Yeah, your king is more active, so mine's in the corner, which is generally not great. Although I've lost a game where the guy's king was in the corner like almost the whole time, and I couldn't get a checkmate. It's just,
Hmm. Yeah,
um,
generally in endgame you want to activate your king, so your king becomes another piece.
yeah, your king can start eating up pawns or like can escort a pawn to the final rank.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're only up one pawn. Another thing, I mean, you have a bishop, whereas I only have a knight. As you said before, bishops are considered
That's
better in endgame, so
that's true as well.
maybe that's why. But I did that, so now it's a little more even, and your move is this. So it's interesting now. I feel like I've made a little comeback where it's I don't feel like so
Yeah.
like I'm definitely gonna lose.
Hmm.
So you move a pawn up as opposed to moving the rook over. And I guess moving the rook over here would be a good move because then you can start pushing this pawn, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's really nothing I can do about it without losing something.
Hmm.
What are you thinking with moving this pawn up here?
I think I'm just thinking to like start developing. I see I have a pawn advantage. It's 3-2 on that side, so I just
Right.
start pushing on that side.
Yeah, if you keep pushing pawns, like that's probably a good strategy. Plus, you're defending it here with the rook.
And then maybe, yeah.
Man, this is taking quite a while. This analysis.
Mhm.
It's like if anybody's still watching at this point, like kudos to
Hey, hit
them.
me up on Instagram.
Goofy motherfucker on Instagram.
Chess God 123.
No, you're goofy motherfucker. Sometimes you come in with a serious comment and I just see goofy motherfucker.
Yeah, that's not to go on a tangent, but that's to always remind myself of who I am. Because
Don't say
I have a
yeah.
tendency to think I'm cooler than I am. And I think that's a good, like, it's a like I force myself to be like, no, you're
Uh,
who you are. So
yeah.
it forces me to not take things also like too seriously on social media.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that was an inaccuracy that says I should have gone pawn to g6, which would be preventing something here, I guess. I'm thinking here I'm threatening your bishop. I probably didn't think this through that much, but I'm threatening your bishop, and if you move your bishop, then I get your pawn. That's what I'm thinking.
Hmm.
Like I'm gonna get
Hmm.
something from this.
Right.
But you take my pawn, which I probably wasn't expecting. So now I'm like, shit, I have to move my knight. So that was really, yeah, I was not thinking that one all the way through that you could just do this. Um,
Sorry.
no problem. So now I have to move my knight at this point because it's like I need all the pieces that I have. So I'm thinking I'm probably gonna move it. I might actually check you though, now that I can with my rook. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think I sometimes play that the best defense is a good offense strategy, but I think that's not really true in chess. Like it's true in a lot of games, but I found chess is not really one of them. Like you really need to play defense.
Right.
I moved that to safety. This would have been better because I'm threatening the bishop, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's also defended by G7.
true, true. So now you go here, which it says the best move. You're attacking my pawn island. I probably move that pawn up. No, I check you. Because
Mm-hmm.
why not? You
Now,
go there. Best
mhm.
move. So now I'm kind of in trouble, right?
Now I'm attacking your rook. I'm also attacking the pawn.
Yeah. So now I'm kind of in trouble. What do I do? I'm thinking I should probably move to here. Then I at least can get a pawn. Well, no, but then I would lose it from the bishop. So I'm thinking I should do this probably.
I would think F2 is the best move.
Nope. It's saying the best move is to move down here because then I'm protecting the king, I suppose.
That's, yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah. So this is why checkmate eventually happens.
is it?
Yeah.
So you take the pawn. Now it's like I should really move down here, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then otherwise it's checkmate.
I think this was the move that
So
created
if
unescapable knight.
I don't, well,
Or not unescapable, but it totally like you. It's like that would.
that was a mistake. No, but it says that it was fine. Well, I guess this is fine because I'm thinking It's fine because you won't check me if you go here. So it's
Mhm.
not mate yet, but you can see. Yeah, this is called what you back rank mated, right?
Mhm.
So basically, the king is trapped behind the pawns. If you get this rook in the back rank, there's nowhere for the king to go. And
Mhm.
the engine is saying to push this pawn up, actually, probably to create an escape route,
Yeah.
so I don't get back rank mated. But
Mhm.
this is okay because it's preventing that checkmate from happening at least. So like you'd have to go through the knight. So let's see what happens. So you
Right.
do this.
In your night. Yeah.
Best move. Now my only defense, well, I could bring this down or I could push this pawn to create an escape route, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, we're kind of rushing here, but it's also been like 2 hours. So
No, it's all right. I mean, at this point, it's pretty simple.
well, not for I always try to put myself in the shoes of somebody, an outsider. So I feel like somebody who's never really played like intense games of chess, this is not so straightforward.
Mhm.
Something I've learned with tutoring also is that like a lot of times things that seem simple to an experienced person are not at all to somebody without experience. But
No doubt.
okay, so that's a good move. The book is actually saying the better move would have been to push the pawn up because I guess then I would still have this rook probably to like do stuff with, to like take your pieces or to check you with. Right now, this rook is like strictly defense, and yeah. Okay, so that's a really good move, right? Because now you can take the rook. I mean, sorry, you can take the knight, and
Mhm.
then if I take your bishop, I lose my rook, and it's over. But it's
Mhm.
saying a better move would have been here, where you're still attacking the knight, but you're also blocking off this square, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh, it says it's alternative, so it's the
Yeah.
same. It's like the
Seems
same.
pretty much the same. Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, I sense death and I create an escape route, but it's like pretty weak because I mean, I'm gonna lose my knight.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you did that. I'm surprised you didn't take with the bishop
I
because
th-
now
yeah.
I figured if you took with the bishop, then I don't know. I would lose a knight. You would lose nothing.
I
But
think
when you
my
take with your rook,
my thinking on that was that if I take with the bishop, then the pieces are now they're kind of pinned to each other because your rook is pinning it. So I think
yeah,
that
but
was
like
kind of my idea.
yeah, but
So
like then
basically taking the rook then forces you to simplify, which is at this point in the game, I'm up a piece and pawn, so it's like you want to
yeah,
simplify when you're up.
yeah. I mean, like if you do that, I feel like it's a sure win. It'll just take
Right,
longer because you're gonna have to promote a pawn to a queen, right?
right,
Whereas
right.
if you did it with the bishop, I don't know. You would have had a bishop and a rook, and then I wouldn't take your bishop because then I would just lose my rook, and that'd be like pretty much over. But so that's interesting to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I think because then you'd move your king up, and then you'd start moving your rook.
Yeah.
It to me, it just seemed faster.
To do this, I thought it was slower because now I'm gonna. Oh, I thought I was gonna take there, and then you'd have just a bishop.
I think I end up taking your rook.
Yep. So you took, and then I'm gonna take obviously, and
So
then
that's a pretty like I said, it's a common strategy when you're up in endgame to just start simplifying and just start
yeah,
exchanging.
I've read that too. That when you're up in the end of the game, you can just trade pieces because,
Mhm.
like, at this point, and so I think somebody, a novice, wouldn't really understand why this is such a good position for you. But you have one, two, three, four pawns. I only have two,
And a
and
bishop.
you have a bishop, and these two pawns are have wide open lanes. Right, the pawn can only move forward, and
Mhm.
so there's really the only way for me to prevent you from queening these pawns is by trying to attack with my king.
Mhm.
And so you have a king and a bishop to try to defend these pawns.
And
So
and
I
there's two, so it's like
right. So
yeah.
I mean, at this point, I could probably just resign, feeling like the game is lost. But if we play it out, you're probably gonna have to queen one of these to checkmate me, right?
Mhm.
Because you can't to checkmate with a bishop and a king is really difficult.
Yeah, if not impossible.
Okay,
I actually think it might be impossible.
so you do that. Why does this crown sign appear
That
here?
I'm pretty sure the flag is on yours. You resigned
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that means I want. I
because
resign at
yeah,
day one.
you saw me move the pawn. You're like, I'm done.
Yeah, because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get these pawns,
Yeah.
and somehow, yeah. I mean, these pawns are kind of in deadlock, right? So like, if either we take like it's like exchange, or they just like don't move anywhere. But
Mhm.
so like my chance of promoting one of these pawns is like zero. So I felt like my chances of winning were like zero, basically.
It would have to take me blundering several times.
Yeah, well, not necessarily several times. I feel like you'd have to make a big mistake.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd have to lose at least two pawns. I mean, in order to, yeah, or
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
whatever.
if I
But
had started like bringing my king up and like trying to do
I would
this little
really have to
triangle
bug it.
thing, like they do in Ultimate Frisbee, what's called like a
Mhm.
triangle offense. So like then I could like get
I
here.
didn't know that.
Yeah, in Frisbee it's like a three-person thing where like three people move it up the field by just passing it really quick. But I feel like you can do that with a king and two pawns, right? Um, Especially if I keep my king on the green, I could like kind of be tricky with it. But anyway, that's a long analysis by two like what kind of chess players would you call us?
Amateur.
Yeah, amateur, but like what kind of level? Like intermediate, amateur, I guess.
It's intermediate.
Like not really beginner, but not expert. You're probably more
Yeah.
intermediate. I might still be on the beginner level, but um, yeah, that's
Yeah,
just an
that was
final
fun.
word.
That
It
was
was
cool.
fun. Final word.
Um, get better at chess. You just gotta play chess, man.
Just gotta play chess. Nah, dude, you gotta use engines and look at shit and
I mean
analyze
that too,
and
but
think.
yeah, use your. I find that too, and I get sort of. It's easy to get lazy, and it's
Yeah,
easy to kind of just like go into what you know.
and not
But
think about it. Yeah.
honestly, like chess, if you're playing a 20-minute game, you should be like hard thinking for 20 minutes. Like
Yeah,
there really is no rest. There really is
that's
like
true.
every second you should be like looking and seeing like what's gonna happen.
That's true. Speed chess is taxing, and I think that's
Yeah.
something that I did too much, which was try to like play. Oh, I'll play 10-minute games because it's not too long, but like
Mm,
as my like this is my relaxing activity, and it's like no, like that's how you're gonna
mm,
lose if you're just trying to play it, do a relaxing thing. Because
totally.
like you need to be, yeah, you need to be making calculations in a game like that.
Constantly. Constantly. There's no break. And
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
that's another way. It's the reason I sometimes say I hate chess because it's not like relaxing.
yeah,
But
man. It's
neither is a
like
lot. Neither is basketball, right? So you
right,
gotta,
yeah, in order to relax, you gotta listen to music, watch TV.
yeah, or play a 24-hour game where you can like
Yeah,
take
that
take
too.
a couple minutes to think about a move. Yeah,
Mhm. That's daily is awesome, man. Like it takes the pressure off. You're allowed to just kind of think and analyze. It's cool. Definitely, you definitely gotta check out the analyze tool. It's great. Um,
it's fun when a 24-hour game though, like we're both making moves every couple of minutes. Like
I know. Yeah, yeah. It's
it's
just
like we
like
both have 24 hours to make moves, so we're taking 5 minutes.
yeah. Like I literally just I can't tell you how many like I play all the time during work, like when I should be working, and it's just like I'm like, oh, Steve made a move, Dan made a move, and I just like jump
Oh,
on and catch up.
you've been playing Steve. Shout out to Steve.
Shout out to the man, the myth, the
Yeah,
legend. Yeah.
I've been playing Steve too.
Hmm.
I feel
Yeah.
like I'm taking the beating that you've been putting on me and just kind of transferring it down. It's like you know how like bullies work, like people who get beat by their dads beat up their friends at school.
Well, dude, yeah, dude. I mean, I have a friend Matt that like he's like 1350 and he lays the smackdown on me. So it's the cycle. It's the
Yeah,
cycle of life.
Steve's just starting out, so he's got
Hmm.
a lot of room for improvement.
What was I gonna say? I actually I went to me and Steve played over the board, so in person the other day when I went over his place,
Sick.
and I taught him just a few like beginner things, and I taught him like the London opening and like the Sicilian defense, just like a few like opening moves. So it's cool. It's
Hell
good
yeah.
stuff. It's cool. Steve's getting into it.
Yeah.
You know.
So what's my closing remark? My closing remark is to get better at anything, practicing slow and doing deep thinking about it is useful. Don't just try to
Mm,
be superficial. I mean, yes, pure repetition is good, but a lot of times it's not enough to do pure repetition, especially for a thinking game like chess. You need like deep thinking. And then the other thing is, if you have so much time to get better at chess, just learn to code. It'll pay off better. I
I
was I was upset this week because I lost out on like a perfect job opportunity because I don't know how to code, and then I wrote a song about it because I was sad.
oh really?
Yeah, it's on my
Interesting.
Bandcamp. It's called "Learn to Code."
Oh, we'll talk after. I'm curious what the job is.
Yeah, all right, but let's sign off the podcast here just for the sake of time.
Peace, love.
Thanks for listening, whoever made it. You matter.
Yeah, you're the shit. You need to DM me if you listen to all this.
Yeah,
Or
well,
DM Dan. I'm just the sidekick.
you matter.
Peace.
Okay, stop recording.